Helping children overcome stuttering, a journey to support your child. Dear parents, today we'll explore a familiar and important topic: stuttering in children. When your child begins to babble their first words, it's a moment filled with joy. But if they struggle, speak haltingly, or repeat words, you might feel worried. Don't panic. Stuttering in young children isn't uncommon, and in many cases, children can overcome it on their own. Today, we'll learn what stuttering is, how to recognize its signs, how it's diagnosed, and effective ways to support your beloved child. With a relatable approach, you'll find this journey not only helps your child but also brings your family closer. This article will cover 4 main sections. First, we'll understand what stuttering is and the types of stuttering in children. Next, we'll explore the signs to know when to pay attention. After that, we'll discover how stuttering is diagnosed. Finally, we'll learn ways to support your child, from what parents can do at home to professional intervention. Let's begin. Understanding stuttering in children. A guide for parents. Imagine listening to your child tell a story, but they repeat words, prolong sounds, or stop as if stuck. These are signs of stuttering. According to expert Kiara Fan from TIRR Memorial Hermann Rehabilitation Institute, stuttering occurs when a child's speech is interrupted, which can involve repeating part of a word, repeating entire words, prolonging sounds, or being unable to produce a word. There are 3 main types of stuttering in children. The most common type is developmental stuttering, which usually appears when children are between 2 and 5 years old. At this stage, a child's brain is bursting with ideas, but their speaking skills haven't caught up. As a result, they may repeat words or hesitate when trying to express themselves. Expert Jacqueline Toscano from MGH Chelsea Center explains that this period is when speech is most prone to interruptions because children are simultaneously developing their articulation, language, motor, and emotional skills. Statistics show that about 5 to 10% of children stutter at some point, but up to 80% will overcome it on their own. Notably, boys are 3 times more likely to stutter than girls. The second type is neurogenic stuttering, which typically appears after events like a stroke or brain injury. This type can be accompanied by unrelated mouth movements or unexpected pauses in speech. Finally, less common is psychogenic stuttering, related to emotional trauma. However, according to expert Courtney Perigo, this type is rarely diagnosed in young children, as more complex factors often affect a child's speech. Understanding the types of stuttering will help parents worry less and know how to observe their child. Let's move on to the next section to recognize specific signs. Signs of stuttering. When to pay attention. Now, pay attention to how your child speaks. If they repeat words, prolong sounds, or exhibit behaviors like blinking, nodding, or foot tapping when speaking, these could be signs of stuttering. Especially if someone in your family has stuttered, your child's likelihood of experiencing this condition will be higher. Scientists have identified 4 genes associated with stuttering, proving that genetic factors play an important role. In addition to speech signs, children who stutter may also display behaviors such as clear tension, an unusually high-pitched voice, or attempts to avoid speaking in certain situations. Stressful moments, like when a child has to speak in front of a class, can make stuttering more pronounced. Observing these signs will not only help you understand your child but also know when to seek support. So, how do you know if your child is just going through a normal developmental phase or needs to see a specialist? Let's find out in the next section. Diagnosing stuttering. Equipping parents. If you notice your child stuttering and are concerned, what's the first step? Talk to your pediatrician or a speech-language pathologist. The good news is that most cases of stuttering in young children are developmental and will disappear on their own. But there are signs that indicate you should take your child for an evaluation. When do you not need to worry too much? If your child starts stuttering before age 4, the symptoms last less than 6 months. Your child doesn't show tension when speaking. There's no family history of stuttering, and no accompanying physical behaviors. You can feel confident monitoring them further. However, if your child stutters after age 4, the symptoms last more than 6 months. Your child is tense or frustrated when speaking. There's a family history of stuttering, or there are behaviors like blinking or nodding. Then it's time to seek professional help. What will a specialist do? They will delve into the family history, observe how your child speaks in various situations, and assess both the child's language skills and emotional state. This process doesn't just look at speech but also considers secondary behaviors and the child's emotions when stuttering. The results will help determine if your child needs direct support or indirect intervention from parents. Understanding how to diagnose will make you more confident. Now, let's explore ways you can support your child in overcoming stuttering. Supporting your child through stuttering, love and patience. So, what can parents do to help their child? First, try indirect intervention at home. For children around 2 years old, you can speak slowly to model for them. Focus on the content of what your child is saying, rather than how they're saying it. When talking, maintain eye contact, and give your child time to express themselves without being rushed. It's important not to ask your child to slow down or speak differently, as this can make them feel pressured. Instead, create a space where your child feels comfortable speaking, even if they stutter. For example, if your child is excitedly telling you about a trip but is repeating words, smile, nod, and listen. This helps your child feel loved and more confident. When children are confident, stuttering can gradually decrease. If more specialized support is needed, speech-language pathologists will apply direct intervention. They may play with the child, teach simple to complex speech patterns, and help the child relax and regulate their breathing. More importantly, they will talk to the child about their emotions, about situations that make them anxious, such as speaking in front of a crowd. When children learn to manage their emotions, stuttering often significantly reduces. No single method is best for every child. A specialist will choose the appropriate approach based on your child's condition. But the common goal is always to help your child speak more fluently and encourage them to communicate confidently, whether they stutter or not. This journey requires patience and love. Every small step your child achieves is a big victory, and you are their best companion. Be patient, listen, and accompany your child. With the right support, your child will become more confident on their language development journey.